Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the OnlyBets Sports Podcast, where we break down best bets daily. We review what happened in the biggest news in sports, and we try to get some action going on later in the week. Which, I mean, by golly, do we have action with the Super Bowl coming up this Sunday? Did we have football last night? That's mostly a dig at the Pro Bowl game. But let me bring in my co-host for the day, Drew DeLucci. How you doing, man? Welcome in.
Oh, I'm doing good. Yesterday, of course, Boston College covered. Duke did what they usually do is they'll score 40 in the first half against these kind of teams, and you know what? They're sleepwalking because they're looking ahead for Saturday when they have to go to Chapel Hill to face North Carolina, and then we had Air Force at we had a GCU at -25. They were up 35 early in the second half, and they eased off the gas and didn't cover. I saw a 90% cash out pay, so I took it so I didn't have to worry about it. So I could watch other games. Glad I took it. That's something always good to look at. But I'm surprised because Air Force doesn't usually factor in blow suppression because their offense is so bad. GCU just slept walk like they don't. And then we had St. Louis though, unfortunately, because San Diego State was wire to wire. They decided to allow Davidson. Honestly, it wasn't more so St. Louis not shooting well. As Davidson was shooting a lot better than they usually do. St. Louis went down 13 and a half. They came back within five, and then they ended up winning, I think, by like nine. So that was just a couple unfortunate losses that you can't really predict would happen.
Yeah, that was a really tough one, especially the losing on the hook, right? We had it minus 24 and a half, and they covered at 25. So, it happens, but it was definitely the right play. And overall, listen, man, you've had a nice streak going where you've had profitable days for I think this is the first time in a week that it hasn't come in. So overall, Prince of Picks went 2-1. I went 1-1. The Lightning did not win in the 60-minute mark, but they did win the game overall. So disappointed there, but what can you do? The Lakers definitely took care of the Nets, and the Knicks swept the floor there. I think they won by 30. All right, we move on. Got a good spot today. I'm very excited also for tomorrow's show where we start breaking down the Super Bowl. We have a special guest there. I'll remain. I'm going to post that out later today where we're going to play some fun games. I'm trying to structure it a little bit more. So a lot of cool things to look forward to. From yesterday, we had some crazy trades. I'll open the floor to you. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Oh, I would say it'd be the best to talk about that player trade we saw with the Grizzlies. Honestly, I personally think the Jazz won the trade day yesterday, man. Like, I like this Jazz's young team. The one thing they were missing, right? They have scores, is defense, and personally, I'm a fan of Walter Clayton, but I think it was a trade that they clearly won because they got Jaron Jackson. I believe they got Jaron Jackson, Jock Londale, John Conker, and Vince Williams, right? I believe. So yeah, it's just honestly, I think that's a great trade. I'm a fan of Jaron Jackson. I like Vince Williams too, and I mean, to be fair, like that's kind of scary. Laurie Markkinen and Jaron Jackson, together. I like what the Jazz are doing here, man. Honestly.
Yeah, it looks like they're really putting in a push to be competitive, and the recent play certainly suggests that they're able to do that. And then the other big marquee trade really was James Harden going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I thought that was wild. I personally am a little bit befuddled on this trade. I definitely think that James Harden's just not the same player as he once was, and we know that he has personality issues. They signed him for a long-term guaranteed contract, and he's getting older. So, what are your thoughts here?
Honestly, I'm gonna say this right now. Clippers won that trade. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean
a
he
I'm
has.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh, you're good. I'm saying I'm a big fan of Darius Garland, and I personally think Darius Garland fits the Clipper system a lot better than James Harden does. James Harden's an all-time great. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, but he's not what he once was. And I believe they got some picks out of it too, as well as Darius Garland.
Wild to me.
Yeah.
Darius Garland is still on his rookie contract and has a few years left there, which definitely, yeah, I agree with you. I think the Clippers definitely won that trade, although he is currently injured. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we're not going to see that
Yeah.
immediate impact just yet, but it is coming. And I mean, I'm here in Philly. I mean, New York fan, so I'm able to be properly critique the Philadelphia sports. When James Harden was here, it was just a nightmare. Nothing worked. I don't really see the spot unless he's personally happy and you're willing to do everything in your power. I, I'm very confused by this trade, and I don't think the Cavaliers needed to do it. Their defense is going to suffer, even if they need some help with some points and scoring. I don't know if Harden's your guy, but we're going to see how that works out. They clearly thought that there was value in there. Uh, I just kind of think it's a buy high situation where you really didn't need to do that. You could have let the market settle and watch where it falls out and probably get them for a cheaper price later down the line. But anyway, let's move on to today. You know what? I'm going to open the floor to you. What do we got today? We're going to college hoops first. Or we're going to the basketball. Or are we going to NHL? What do we got for us?
Oh, I actually want to say one more thing about the trade deadline, if that's fine.
Yeah, man. This
Big
is your show
news
today.
in the Warriors organization because I read a bunch of Warriors stuff. So, of course, everyone has seen that there's a lot of tension in the Warriors locker room because everyone is on the board, basically, but Curry and Jimmy. Right at the end of the day, and there's Draymond had a press conference saying like, "Hey, man, it's been a good run." Like I understand, like he's been very, very sportsmanship. Like I know Draymond gets a lot of slack for what he does on the court, but I know people that have actually met the man. He's actually a really good guy and stuff. And as much as people cut him slack, we wouldn't win those championships without Draymond. He was the defensive leader. He's a 9-time NBA defensive player. It would be sad to see him go. But like he's done so much for organization, playing props. But right now, the Warriors, the rumors are they're offering because the Warriors have all their picks. And then the Bucks are fascinated with the idea of having our future picks post Curry and post Giannis, and we're apparently offering a bunch of picks with Draymond, Pajemski, and Kaminga. And so the Warriors are pursuing Giannis, so we may see that along with like the Rockets and Timberwolves and stuff. So get ready for that to break place because the Warriors are going all in.
Yeah, and definitely be aware of all of this news when you go into the betting landscape, either in DFS or just straight bets, because these moves are moving the markets. And you know what? That brings me into my first best bet. Let's go into NBA first. I'm taking the Cavaliers money line minus 120. This line is moving sharply towards the Cavaliers side. We're going to be, I think it was +2 or +4 on the spread, and then the line just keeps moving. I think the money line price is now minus 130, minus 140, and I 100% see it. Even though I don't necessarily agree with the move to get Harden, I think that they are the better team right now with the better defense, and I think that this is a nice revenge spot if he plays, and if he doesn't play, then it's all the same anyway. I think that the Cavaliers should be favored in this one, and I'm definitely taking the money line or a spread of minus up to -2, -2.5, which is basically just a one possession game, which I think that they will cover. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, I was going to first say it's funny. The trade happened, like it was announced, I believe, like this morning ish, and then they're playing each other. So I think they kind of planned that out, honestly, to where it would be so they're playing each other, so there wouldn't be much movement, So personally, I'm in a kind of a toss up here. Yes, I like the idea of possibly like the revenge spot. The Clippers have been really good recently. I will personally stay away from this game, but if I had to lean one, it might be the Clippers to cover because I think it's gonna be a very close game.
All right, you heard it here first. First little bashing heads, but you know what? That's going to happen when you have different experts with models and stuff. So yeah, I like it. I'm going to be interested to maybe hedge live if I see that the game's not going in my direction. There's a few other news in the NBA, but I'm just so skittish here. I really think Boston does not deserve to be plus 5.5 giving plus 5.5 points. I don't care against who. So I did put a half unit on there. Do you have any thoughts on the Boston? Who are they playing again?
The Rockets, yeah. So
Yeah.
I was impressed with the Mavs when they won by double digits. That's their first double digit on the road in a couple weeks, you know. So that was very impressive and something I always like to look at, right? Do they have to travel far? No, they're driving from Dallas to Houston. They do not have to travel far at all, right? So I would definitely, if I had to make a bet in this game, I would take plus 5.5. That's too much for this team. Like if they had to travel from Boston to Houston, that would be different. But they gotta hang out, take like I think it's like a couple hour drive, not far. So
Yeah, and then the last game that I was looking at, the first two that we just talked about, I did play full unit and a half unit on Boston plus 5.5. But I really kind of wanted to take the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Toronto Raptors, even though the Raptors have the rest advantage. I'm not impressed with their team. They do not look like a complete spot. And the only reason why I'm not diving into the Timberwolves, and PrinceOfPicks and I were talking about this yesterday, is we're kind of expecting some movement in the before the trade deadline for the Timberwolves. So I don't want to place a bet on them and then see it fall apart if some of their key players are going.
yeah, something I will say though about this game, I agree with you. Like this is a very tight spread for a reason. I'll say this right now, 227.5 is too high. I kind of, if I had to make a bet in this game, like I was looking at, I like the under. I think this is going to be a gritty game.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent look, especially if they end up moving some players that tends to drop the total down a little bit. So yeah, anyway, that's our NBA recap today. Bring us into the college hoops.
Yep, I would say a good game to watch, guys. We get another Thunder Spurs rematch. That'll be fun to watch. So,
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be a good one. I didn't want to touch it though in terms of
oh,
the
I don't want
betting,
to touch
but
this. I just want to enjoy
but it'll
it.
definitely be an exciting high flying game.
Yeah. Yeah, college hoops. We have a lot of good games today. Something to let the viewers know about college basketball. Usually the best weekdays the games where a lot of Power Five conferences plays are Super Tuesday and Wednesdays. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays are usually the best. I'm gonna say my picks that I like, and then you can let me know, Stern, if there's any other games you want me to have takes on that you may want to look at. But I would say my first one is going to be a double up. There's two money lines I like that you can get from minus 120 on DK or like minus 125, which is not bad juice at all. The first part of the double up is BYU at Oklahoma State. So this line actually opened at -6. We're not going to do the line, of course, and now it's -7.5. Personally, I don't like this is BYU of trying to avoid a third straight loss at the end of the day. They just lost, to Arizona at home. They got like I know the game looked close, but they came back. But they got demolished at home at KU, which is never a shame to lose. And now they're going to Oklahoma State, who just got a nice win at Utah. I just don't see Oklahoma State personally winning this game. I know people say Oklahoma State's a tough place to play and all that. No, it's not the same what it used to be when Marcus Smart and them were there. Marcus Smart was really good, by the way. People didn't know at Oklahoma State. I watched him play when he was in college. But like if you look at their past games at home, they like ever since they beat UCF at home, they've lost 4 out of their last 6 games, right? They lost to Baylor, who is not good at home by like 8-15, who's not good in the Big 12 at all this year, by 15 at home. They lost to Iowa State at home, which is not a shame. But then they also lost at TCU. They almost lost to Kansas State at home. Oklahoma State's defense isn't good. The only thing they do well is shooting the three. And with the high powered offense like BYU, who knows how to defend well and they can shoot the hell out of the ball when they're on fire, I think it's the bounce back game. DeBonsta, I think it was in too much of his head trying to guard Darren Peterson and wore him out. I expect BYU to win this easily by double digits. It's too good of value to pass up to add to a money line for a double up. I think the money line is like -285 or -305, which is good value to add to double up. So before I go to the next part, do you have any takes on that, Stern?
No, I love it, and the sharp money is 100% behind you.
Yeah.
This is a great ticket.
Yep. For sure, yeah. And then the next game, I have a West Coast conference. This is one of my favorite conferences, being from the Bay Area. I don't know if you guys ever seen Santa Clara Broncos play, but they are a really, really good team. They only have one loss in the year, is at Gonzaga, but we're never going to shame someone for losing at Gonzaga. Actually, Gonzaga is going to move out of the West Coast Conference. Luckily, to go to the new form Pac-12, so it'll make it more competitive. But they're facing Pacific. Pacific is undefeated at home currently. But the problem is Santa Clara is 4-1 on the road in the conference, with their one loss being on the road to Gonzaga. Like, we just saw Santa Clara travels well, whether they're home or away. We just saw them beat LMU, who's not the best team, but I think the spread was like 9.5, and they won by 30, just like they did the other time. Like, they've beaten some really good teams. The last time they faced Pacific, they won by 17. I just think there's overall, like, I saw value on the spread too. The spread is at 6.5. My model says that the spread should be like 11.5. I just don't see, I see it like the first game, Santa Clara's, like, I don't see Pacific stopping them, ability to shoot the three, score in the paint, and all of the above. And something I will say about like the Pacific is, like, they do have a good offense. They can be stagnant at times, is one of my biggest problems I have. But I would just say, lastly, Santa Clara Broncos are such a good team, and I just feel like since they are so good at defending the three, and Pacific is like really good at shooting the three, but they're not good at defending the three at all. I just think this is a big mismatch advantage to add both money lines for -120.
Yeah, yeah. I just took that as we were speaking at -122 on DK, and I think these are excellent looks. If I can actually respond, I took a money line parlay as well, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. I took hold on, let me get it. Sorry, Alabama, Houston, and Marshall. The juice is at -156, and the reason why I didn't put this out as an official play is because I had to use a boost to get it down to -125. But I think that each of these teams are an excellent look as well in the college basketball world, and I'm parlaying those three together. Do you have any thoughts on Alabama, Houston, or Marshall?
Yeah, some of us about Houston. Houston at home is a different animal. That's enough said right there. UCF hasn't been great on the road. They're amazing at home. They're a really good team, but this is a bad matchup for them because Houston is a good offense, like a really good offense, but Houston's a great defense. But Houston has a decent offense, but UCF has a bad defense. So, and then Marshall, yeah, personally, I've seen Southern Miss play. I think Marshall is going to win by a lot over Southern Miss. I think this is a mismatch. Mid-major games are weird, but usually the home teams, when there's this big of a spread, they usually will find a way to win always in mid majors because there's less comebacks because these guys don't shoot as well. And then the one game with Alabama, something I will say, Alabama needs to win this game. Like, they're honestly at risk because, like, they do have, I think, like the second or first hardest ranked to schedule, and Texas and A&M. It has only lost one game in the SEC. They have been really good. The spread has been dropping. The only loss was to OT in Tennessee. They just went at Georgia, and they actually beat Georgia there at Texas A&M +3.5, and they covered there when they played. And a lot of people would be like, "Oh, Texas A&M is going to continue the streak." No, I think Alabama wins at home. It may be scary because how good A&M's playing, but Alabama needs this win, and they're desperate. Texas A&M, of course, every team is desperate, but you can't afford to get an eighth loss already on your resume.
Yeah, yeah, and we've talked about him before. Thomas Casale links Alabama at -5.5, and that price has moved, and that's why I took the money line parlay instead. But do you have any other looks
Yeah.
in college basketball?
Yeah, so I always, like, I did with SFA, right? I like betting on these big games. Oh, by the way, we had a crazy, like, I love the Mouse Win Conference. We've had the craziest endings ever. We had a crazy ending in the NWC yesterday between UNLV and Fresno State. They were down, Fresno State was down 6 at home with 10 seconds left. And then they ended up coming back, tying it, and then winning in regulation. If you haven't, guys, look up the highlights of that game. That was the craziest game ever. It's fun. And then we have the biggest MWC game so far part of the season besides San Diego State and Utah State. We have Utah State at New Mexico. There's 3 teams at 9-2 in the MWC. It's San Diego State, Utah State, New Mexico. My model says that the spread should be what it is. But you know what? My model doesn't necessarily fully account to how much of a home court advantage the pit is. If you guys haven't heard of the pit for New Mexico, it's probably like, I'm not even just saying this, the biggest home court advantage for a mid major. 'Cause the biggest home court advantage in college basketball is probably Allen Fieldhouse. For a mid major, like that home court is the absolute most insane thing you'll see for any mid major. New Mexico at has been such an under the radar team. Utah State did beat San Diego State at their home, but they've struggled. They struggled there, and San Diego State kind of gave that game away. Something I will say too is New Mexico has been like demolishing teams. Their only losses are at Boise State in the beginning of the year when Boise State was good, and at San Diego State by 4, which is aren't the shame to do, right? And then we saw Utah State, lose at home to UNLV. I saw New Mexico to go to UNLV and win by like 27. They've also beat Nevada. Utah State's never faced Nevada. And then I saw Utah State go to Grand Canyon and lose. Grand Canyon went to New Mexico. Yeah, they're home, but they lost by 23. Like New Mexico hasn't lost one home game. And I think and it was crazy, every home game they played in conference, right? Except one, they've won by 20 points. So I just give me New Mexico -2 or -2.5. I think it may go to Utah State's more favor, so you can wait, but give me New Mexico.
Yeah, I think that's a really good look, and my model definitely agrees with you. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun one to sprinkle, and a good one to be playing in the background while I watch my kids.
Listen to that home court. It sounds like a religion there, man. It's crazy. Like it's insane. But I would say another one, right, that I am looking at. I'll decide if I, want it because like I know there's like Clemson, Stanford is possibly. I think Clemson should beat Stanford, but I'm probably not going to touch that game. And then the Michigan State game. I don't really want to touch. I think Michigan State wins. I don't know how much they cover by, especially coming off the loss to Michigan. But the one game that I'm thinking about, and I'll let you know if I decide, is Iowa at Washington. I love watching this Iowa team. This Iowa team to me is one of the most aesthetically pleasing offenses you'll watch. The coach there with the point guard there, Sturts, they played at Drake last year. I don't remember the Drake story last year. They only had like 2 losses. They upset, oh, I forgot who it was in the first round, but they upset someone in the first round, and they run this very slow, methodical offense. It's not boring. It's to where they always make the right pass. They take up all the shot clock. They have an answer to everything, and they take the right shot. And personally, Iowa State beats Washington in pretty much every metric possible. And Washington team they're off and on, but yeah, this is one I'm going to think about and decide. I'm definitely going to watch it though.
I mean, it's definitely an attractive price. You can get the money line at -135, the spread at -1.5. Like it's not a terrible line at all. I tend to
And
agree
Iowa
with
beats
you.
these kind of teams. The only teams they've lost to are like upper tier, like Michigan, Illinois, and like Michigan State. Like they like honestly, I was impressed with the Oregon game. That could have been a trap game for them, and they just beat them by these. They beat them by like 20. So
Yeah, that's a really good look.
oh, and they
Also
didn't
a
have to travel
nice
far.
right. Yeah, that's a nice one to look for live as well, and the sharp money is also definitely on your side, which is actually interesting here because on the spread and the money line, the numbers are very similar. Where you have about 75% of the public on Iowa on the money line, but 87% of the sharp money is on Iowa, which definitely shows you something, especially when you combine it with the spread where 65% of the public's on it, but 74% of the sharp money is on Iowa, which usually means the play is Iowa. All over. So yeah, definitely a good look, and I'm just gonna sprinkle on that and look for it to get even better on live. Any last looks for us before we head to the NHL?
No, I will say, and also something to look at for college basketball, by the way, is I'm not saying teams purposely will sell games if they have like a really good record, but Iowa is 6-4. A lot of their games are to quad one teams that they've lost. So they kind of can't afford to lose this kind of game. I think it's a shame that Iowa's not ranked because they've had some good wins on their resume too. But I think Iowa's going to want to win this West Coast road trip. And I personally think Washington, I think sitting at like 2-7 in the or like 3-7 in the Big Ten, they're just not as competitive. Like as they're not as competitive as earlier. Like personally, yes, they just beat Northwestern. They beat Oregon, who isn't necessarily a good team. But I've also seen this team when they face slow paced teams like Michigan State. They just end up losing, right? So yeah,
Yeah, definitely good look, and
that's
thanks
it.
for all the information. I'm going to be looking forward getting more into college basketball as we head towards the tournament when we really turn it onto high gear. But moving
Uh,
forward, yeah, sorry, go on.
I was saying, is there any other games for college basketball? If not, we can move to hockey, if that you cared for.
Not really. I had a number of leans here based on the model from Mike McClure, which, if any of you guys are listening and looking for a really, really sharp capper, that is one of my main people that I go to. Him and Sia Najad are the two people that I like to model myself and my picks after. Very, 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 very sharp people. But we had some plays there where we're taking Cal at -7.5 on the spread. That was one of the looks. The under in the Lipscomb game versus Austin Pay. I thought that was the best look of the night, honestly.
Yes, both those teams' offenses are hard to watch. Lipscomb is not a fun team to watch. And another game that one of my buddies liked, and I can understand, Seton Hall being +7.5. That's too many points for a very
Yep.
defensive team,
Yep.
personally. And Villanova doesn't have like the first time they played. Seton Hall went down by 10, and then Seton Hall went down by 20 and came back. Villanova doesn't have the physical, like defense to make because Seton Hall just struggles with offense, but they don't have the physical defense to make them really struggle. And Seton Hall, Villanova relies heavily on the three, right? And the way to beat Seton Hall is get their bigs in foul trouble, and they don't really have that capability. It's just hard for Seton Hall. Like they don't usually lose by double digits.
Yeah, and something else to consider is why is the price or the line where it is? And a lot of the time is because the public likes them. The public likes Villanova. They've had a lot of exposure over the last few years, especially with the New York Knicks, like getting the All-Star trio there, especially, and that kind of usually moves the line a lot. And I think there is a lot of value on Seton Hall tonight. That was almost a play of mine, but the model didn't like it as much, so I kind of went in the other few picks that I had here. Oh, and by the way, in that Marshall game, I also took Marshall -9.5 on the spread at a half a unit. I thought that was a solid look, along with the money line parlay. But yeah, now let's move to the onto the ice. There's a number of games tonight. I personally chose the Oilers versus the Flames. This is Edmonton versus Calgary. I kind of wanted to take the Flames on a money line price here, nice plus money, but I just couldn't really pull the trigger on that. But what I could pull the trigger on is the over. I really, really, really like the over here. The last 5 games have all flew over against Edmonton. The lowest total in the last 5 games was 7 goals against Toronto, where they gave up 5, and against your Sharks, where they won 3-4. These games are close. Their defense is not good. They've lost the last 2 games 5-2 and 7-3. Granted, the 7-3 was against Minnesota, which is a very solid team, but no excuses here. I think that Edmonton is a little bit overvalued, and their defense is clearly not with it. And playing on back-to-back nights again, I just don't see them really containing anybody. So if I'm going to get a nice price on the over, I'm going to take it. And what did I get this at? I got it over 6.5 at like -110, I think. So I do like this look a lot. Any thoughts here?
Oh no, I definitely like that. I like that for the Oilers game. You're saying for the over, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
over
that a
six
lot.
and a half
Yeah,
at minus
yeah,
110 over on
yeah.
MGM.
Yeah, personally, I like that. These are two good offenses overall. And you never know what you can get from these goalies, honestly. So I like that a lot because the Oilers, even if they don't score in the first period, there's one of those teams that could just score 3 goals like that. So
Yeah, they have a really fun offense. It's concerning watching their defense, but honestly, that's what leads to overs, and each of the last 5 games have sailed over. So, yeah, that's my look. Something else that I was looking at was actually your Sharks. This was a play from Squishy, the +1.5 on the Sharks. Any chance you want to speak on that?
yeah, we've lost, I believe, what was it, 3 straight games?
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty
But
brutal on the road. And this is one of those things where this is definitely this is a buy high spot for the Sharks. Because like they're reeling and then Vegas is saying, oh, okay, they're coming back down to earth, like let's make the money line +225, at the Avalanche. Let's make +1.5, -110, which is basically even at that point. So honestly, I like +1.5 for the Sharks. Personally, I don't think the Avalanche blow us out of the water like we could possibly win, but I like this. We need to fight because we're still fighting for a playoff spot. So
yeah. That's yeah. They're gonna have to turn it on eventually, or their season's dead. It's really what it comes down to,
we're gonna
right?
get shark bitten.
Pun intended.
Yep,
There were a few other looks that I liked, but nothing that I'm really going for.
I
Chicago
actually had one.
Columbus. Oh yeah, hit us, man.
So if I had to do one for today, right? Personally, Dallas Stars 60-minute money line at -130. It's juice. But honestly, the Stars have been on fire. I know some people like riding on fire streaks, but they just won 5 straight games, personally. And when the Stars get hot, they get hot. I'm sure everyone knows that. And to be honest, the Blues do not know how to produce goals. And if the Stars like even score early, I think this game gonna be over from the jump. I don't see this game going to OT personally. And the thing is, Jake Ottinger is something I saw in 10 career games against St. Louis. Ottinger owns a stellar 8-2, 8-2-0 record to go along with a 933 save percentage and 1.77 goals against average. So he's never lost in overtime to them or any of that stuff. So I just think this is a great matchup because of the ownage of the Blues.
Yeah, that's a great look as well. I would not touch the spread, but I do like the 60-minute money line there. The St. Louis is reeling. They've won one in their last 5 games, and they haven't played exactly anyone impressive. The only win they got was against the collapsing Florida Panthers. So I'm very much on there. Yeah, good look,
Florida
man.
Panthers, man, what happened?
Yeah, it's quite a story,
Back to back Stanley
which
Cup
I'm sure
champs.
we could do like a whole podcast just on their collapse. I almost actually faded them, but wasn't interested in it today. I like the over in the Edmonton game a little bit more, and it also helped that the public was on the under and that the sharp money was on the over, which also always helps inform my bets. But moving on. Anything else in the world of sports that we can really take a look at? I know we have our Super Bowl preview show tomorrow, which I'm very, very excited about. But bring us in anything that you're looking forward to, any other information that we want to get through today. There's a lot to do and there's a lot to get to, but can't get to it all today.
Yeah, something I will add to an over to look at. It's over 5.5, -130 is the Mammoth with Red Wings. I think it'll be 6 or 7 goals in that game, or maybe 8. The main reason is because the Mammoth, I believe, have allowed a lot. When they get power plays, they usually allow goals. It hasn't been good. And I can expect this to be like a 5-3, 5-4 game.
Nice. Yeah, that would be a
Yeah.
fun one to watch as well.
Yeah.
They're decent offenses, even if they are shaky defensively, which always can lead to a nice over.
Especially
But
when
yeah,
teams are struggling in power play, they don't know how to defend power plays. So that's something that you need to factor in. Because I've seen teams get snake bitten by that, like all the time, to where it's like, oh, when you allow a power play, how much can you stall? So, but let me see. The world of sports. Yeah, I've just been tracking this NBA trade deadline. I would say from my Giants for baseball, I'm happy that we ended up getting Luis Ariz, that was a good pickup. The MLB offseason has kind of stalled for a little bit with like moves and stuff. So I'm curious to see more moves coming for the MLB.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think Luis Ariz is a phenomenal pickup for the Giants. That is a sorely needed person who gets on base quite a bit, which was really their problem all season. They had decent hitters. They were able to do it, but they weren't able to put it together consistently in a row. And getting someone in the middle of your order at the beginning of your order that can really just move the bases around is so important in today's baseball world, where we're no longer interested in playing small ball. We're more interested in needing those hits, which is a whole nother soapbox that I have on the MLB currently today. I think that there's too much emphasis on trying to make it exciting, and old school baseball has fallen to the wayside. But you see that the teams that play small ball are the teams that are very successful. We're going to see some kind of change sooner or later there. But I think Luis Ariz is a phenomenal pickup for the Giants.
Yeah, because like it's funny because people are talking about like, hey, why is it with him? He has three batting titles. Why aren't we talking the same way as when these other people got batting titles, and stuff? And the key that people don't realize, yeah, he doesn't have the fanciest OPS and stuff. But the key thing that like I factor in, I heard my buddies who's a big baseball savant who I learned a lot from. He was saying like, hey, if he gets on base, something stats don't show is you make the pitcher pitch in the stretch, which makes your hitters like Rafi Devers and Matt Chapman put stress on the pitcher and they can't do their full windup. So if you lead off with Rise, he's hitting 328 like you want him to. Who cares about his defense and all that? Like you're getting him on base.
You just need runners on base. Once the runner's on base, move them over. Don't worry about your stats. But yeah, Rafi Devers is
Yeah,
going to be fun next year when he has a full off season to acclimate to San Francisco. That's going to be something fun to watch. I don't think that we have seen his potential yet scratched over there. It
he's
was
young.
awesome watching him last year. He was swinging the
Oh,
bat with such viciousness. It was a little
oh yeah.
scary.
The second half of the Giants tenure, he was raking. He
Yeah.
struggled at first, and it was just like you could put home run for him every time on a bet. And just
Yeah,
get-
yeah, yeah. I mean, there was a point where his home run odds were getting below 300, and
yeah,
traditionally that's reserved for people like Aaron Judge
or
and
Shohei.
Aaron Judge. Yeah, and Shohei. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah, that's
Both of those were
basically it.
hitting at like 250, 220 odds, and you were starting to see that at certain points in
Aaron
certain
Judge, Aaron
spots.
Judge, Aaron
Yeah.
Judge, and Shohei. I remember one point Aaron Judge was plus 180, and I was like, yeah, this is not worth it.
No, but you know what? You just
It hit.
sprinkle on 2+ home runs
Yeah,
and you're good.
yeah,
Honestly,
exactly.
what I was
Yep.
doing was I was doing his hits, runs, and RBIs line at over 2.5 or 3.5 at near even money or plus money, and that was cashing a lot because even when he got walked, the Yankees are generally good enough to get him around the bases. It's going to be an interesting year. I don't know how I feel about the New York Yankees off season yet. I am happy that Bellinger is back. I think that's a really important bet. I think that they may have learned from their mistakes with Juan Soto, who honestly would have been I think, a much better choice. But can you imagine if Soto, Bellinger, and Judge were all in the same lineup?
But yeah, I'm a big fan of Soto, man. Like that would be crazy. Personally, Soto looked so good in a Yankees uni. I understand why the fans, were booing him and upset with him, but I mean
Well,
Soto, but yeah,
Well, I mean, they were only booing him when he came
yeah,
back to
yeah.
Yankee Stadium, not in a pinstripe uniform. I mean, he was that outfield's best friend for that full year. And honestly, when you take a look at it, on the Mets, he has so much more pressure and media responsibilities. It's funny to say that in Yankee Stadium, that same pressure and spotlight wasn't really on him. It's on Judge. There's other superstars that take that limelight, which allowed him to kind of fly a little bit under the radar for the talent that he is, which is a world talent. No disputing that. But when he had to go to the Mets, at least from what it looked like to me, it looked like he was struggling trying to adjust going into a new team, even if it's not necessarily a new city, and then having to deal with all the extra responsibilities that he didn't have to deal with on the Yankees. I think that made a big difference in a season. But in saying that, I think that he has a much better sophomore year with the New York Mets, and I'm very excited to see it because I think he is upset that I left off the All Star ballot. I think he is upset about where the Mets are. I think the whole organization is. I think the Mets are going to be a very scary team coming out into the new season. Which, by the way, we are 49 days away from baseball. I'm very excited. Very, very excited for baseball to come back. That is my sport. That's my jam. That's what got me interested in sports betting in the first place. That's what really carried me through most of my childhood. Me and my cousins and brothers, we used to go and pretend to be every single person, Luis Gonzalez and Gary Sheffield, and we would just pretend and practice. Part of me wishes that I could have remained playing baseball and gone pro, but I mean, come on, that's a very small margin of the population that can actually do that, unless you want to be a catcher, which my knees definitely couldn't handle. Sorry.
Well, also, oh no, yeah, catcher is insane, but we're also only a month away from the WBC Classic, so it would be great if we talked about that when we get closer to that, because I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start doing research on that and the Olympics, which start today, tomorrow. They
Amazing
start.
day,
Yeah, it's
amazing.
it's all coming. The last topic that I wanted to get to was the WM Phoenix Open, which honestly brings in a lot of fans from outside of the golf world into the PGA. I'm very excited. I was on Cameron Young last week, didn't come through. I think he finished 22nd or 23rd, which isn't bad. But that was really his first tournament back, and I am excited to see what he does this weekend. Sia Nejad is also on him on his outright without Scotty Scheffler because, by golly, if you are playing any market outright with Scotty Scheffler in it, I don't know what you're doing. That man is a menace. He is unstoppable. His odds, by the way, are roughly the same as Aaron Judge or Shohei to hit a home run on any given day at plus 240. The next closest person, right? His Scotty Scheffler's odds at plus 240. The next closest person is Xander Schauffele at plus 2,000. But I'm going to sprinkle on Cameron Young at plus 2,400, and I'm also going to take his number at plus 1,600 in the field without Scotty Scheffler. I really like Cameron Young this week, and I only like him more that Sia Nejad is also on him, and he is definitely my golf guru. Any thoughts there on the WM Phoenix Open? It really is a party over there. It sounds like any other professional sport where you get the crowds, you get the noise. It's not a
Oh, yeah.
typical event.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, something I will say though is I remember what is it called? I remember last year, the last actually couple of years, my like when I was at my other job, my work would like do a thing where they would take some part of the day off to go there and stuff. It's such a fun event to go to because like I live around here, so yeah.
Yeah, well, if you can get boots on the ground this weekend, that would be quite an experience.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, we would go on. I think, or sometimes we would go on like Fridays. So yeah, it was really been fun. But yeah, the only other I don't really have any other thoughts though on the Phoenix Open. I do have something I want to say quick about the NBA. It looks like, from what I read, James Harden is not going to play tonight.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Yeah,
wasn't necessarily expecting him to. And
yeah,
honestly, I don't know if Cleveland is better right now with or without him. I
yeah.
wouldn't want to take that risk when you add a new person to a team. It changes the dynamic. And sometimes it takes a week or two to adjust. So I'm actually kind of happy that he's not playing. I'm very much still on Cleveland.
Honestly, thinking about that way, something I had to factor in is, I know I said possibly the Clippers, but the Cavs has already been playing without Darius Garland because he's been hurt. So, and then the Clippers are missing James Harden, who's been honestly like pretty. Of course, he's been good with him with Kawhi and stuff. So yeah, they're technically more so missing a player as of right now than them. So yeah, I could actually see the Cavs winning this spot, and they're like, hey, we made this trade and stuff. We're gonna want to make a statement. Like, I think the Cavs are want to make a statement more than the Clippers will.
Yes, but yeah, I tend to agree there. But anyway, we're coming up to
Yep.
45 minutes now. I'm going to open the floor to you. Give us your best bets and any final lasting thoughts, and then we're going to close out today.
Yes, for sure. I would say my best bets are BYU money line, a Santa Clara money line, and a double up to equal around -120, and then also New Mexico at the pig, you can do -2 or -2.5. And then, but since the game is not until 9 for this other one, I was going to look more into the Iowa game and possibly do them as well. But my final take is let's enjoy sports today.
Oh yeah, man. Personally, I'm in the NBA taking the Cavaliers money line -120, and in the NHL, I'm taking the Oilers Flames over 6.5 at -110 over on MGM. Thank you so much, Drew. I really appreciate you coming in. You have been instrumental. That's not the right word. That's music. You've been a huge part of what we're doing here, and I really appreciate you coming in. Hopefully, we can slot you in as a permanent Wednesday host. That Prince of Picks can't be here. And honestly, any single day, we're just going to bring you in right away as we've been doing because people like hearing you, man. I personally love hearing your opinions. You're not just college basketball anymore, man. Not that you ever were just college basketball. But anyway, from us, thank you for listening to the Only Bet Sports podcast. Please give us a like. Follow us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We are closing in on 800 podcast downloads, which is absolutely insane for just our third week doing this. So please give us a listen, give us a like, share us with your friends. Heck, play us, turn off the volume. We'll take the listen. From all of us here, it's me, SternBets, Drew DeLucci. Have a wonderful day.